Good evening and welcome to another Sunday evening edition of Sports 101. As always, we are shooting live on YouTube, Sports 101, and then we are streaming live with our partner station, Tadi 99.1 FM. And tonight's show promises to be interesting. It promises to be interesting because we'll try and take a cursory look at some of the major activities, some of the major highlights that have taken place in the course of the season. We've had a lot of the European leagues, major European leagues, come to an end over the weekend, and tonight we promise to tackle most of the major issues. Yes, I mean, we'll have some little highlights on the NBA and some of the things happening in the NBA. We talk about the Miami Heat and the Boston Celtics. Will Boston be the first team to come back from 3 games down and break that jinx of no team in 150 attempts not breaking the 3-0 jinx? So will Boston be the first team to break that jinx? I mean, let's just remember that Game 7 will be played at the TD Gardens in Boston, and they will have an opportunity to put themselves in the history books. Today also witnesses the start of the Roland Garros, or what the layman calls the French Open, and there's no Rafa Nadal, obviously, because of injuries. We all know that in the last few years he's become to be known as the king of clay, and so we'll touch a bit on the Roland Garros also, and then we'll look at most of the major highlights that have taken place in the course of the season. So if you're tuned in on YouTube, kindly share, comment, and repost the link to all of the major social networks that you belong in, and repost the link. Let's get the place lively. Let's have some conversation in the comment section. And then if you're watching us in the West, kindly send those super stickers so that we can help advance a good cause. Good evening, and once again, welcome to the Sunday edition of the Sports 101. On set with me tonight has to be Lucky, and I'm pretty sure the Lucky, like he promised last week, is ready for the shave tonight. I mean, if Lucky if Lucky does not avail himself for that shave tonight, he's lost a bit of it. I mean, as far as I'm concerned.
I've been put to shame by you guys. I've already endured a lot of.
No, but your word needs your word needs to bear a lot of gold.
You guys really have to do this to me.
Your word needs to bear a lot of gold,
especially when my little boy is like.
Anyway, good evening. Welcome to the show. How has your weekend been like?
It's been an interesting week. A little bit of a roller coaster week, but as usual, if you look at everything that has happened, you can say we've had an exciting week with the happenings in the world of sport. You were talking about the Boston Celtics, literally, trying to do the impossible by coming, back from 3-0 down. That series for me, it's been the best series I've witnessed in the last decade.
Well, it could go down. It could go down.
It's the back and forth. Yes. Miami has won 2 games in Boston already, so they go in there to do will not be a surprise. Boston Celtics have also done so. Charlie, it's been exciting. It could go down as one of the best series.
For a lot of people who do not love the NBA, it's about the literal intricacies. It's about the little details. If you watch last night's game, that beat the buzzer by Derek White. It was 0.1 of a second. I mean, and the truth is that if they had upon reviewing that particular play, if the ball had gone after the clock had expired, it wouldn't have counted.
I think it would have counted.
It wouldn't have counted, and Miami would have won the series.
I don't know if you've heard the conspiracy theories that is being bundled around that seemingly, because all throughout yesterday's game, some of the calls,
were against the Boston Celtics.
Some felt that it seemed the referees were trying everything possible to get
make sure that
Miami. No, Miami actually go through. So there's a lot of conspiracy theories. But hey, honestly, this series for me,
it's crazy.
I love the character of the Celtics.
It's been crazy. I mean, Celtics have had a roller coaster. They fired their coach the coach who took them to NBA Finals last season.
The guy
Yes,
who has a Nigerian name.
exactly. They fired him
Name.
last season. He brought in a very young coach, 33-year-old coach, Joe Mazzulla.
Yeah.
Brought in Joe Mazzulla. Mazzulla has had his ups and downs, but I think that this core is solid.
It's the character of the boys.
Trust me. Let me make this proclamation. If the Celtics win Game 7, they'll win the NBA championship.
I think the Denver Nuggets still win it because as much as, if you look at this series, I think it's about two contrasting fortunes. Miami has an incredible character, an incredible personnel with being led by, Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo. But if you listen to the comment after Celtic had gone down 3-0, when Marcus Smart, and Jaylen Brown said that they shouldn't let us get one
game.
And when they got the one, they shouldn't let us get two. And when they got the three, they said, now we are taking them back to Boston. It's all about the character and the mentality. But I look at the Denver Nuggets team. Listen, that team is built for championship. And with the Joker in there, Kofi, I'm looking at who is good. Even the likes of Anthony Davis, LeBron, they being big men, they couldn't stop the Joker. How would these young guys stop the Joker?
Yes. I mean, yes.
And they're the best team in the NBA.
You can have
the best record.
You can let Joker have his normal triple-double. You can let him score the points in the paint. But you see, the thing with the Denver Nuggets and the Boston Celtics is that if you watch the gameplay of the Denver Nuggets, they thrive on three-point shooting. You understand? They are very good three-point shooters. Yeah. You can talk about Michael Porter Jr. You can talk about Jamal Murray. You can talk about KCP, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. You can talk about all of those. Aaron Gordon. You understand? But you look at the Boston Celtics. It's a collective play. I think that when it comes to the gameplay of the Denver Nuggets, the thing with the Lakers and the Denver Nuggets was that the Lakers are trying to build a new roster altogether. Yes, I mean, they have bona fide superstars in LeBron James and then Anthony Davis. But you realize that for too long a time in that particular series, that third guy who will step up onto the plate and make it count when the two bona fide superstars were not having their day was almost struggling. You understand?
For me,
Austin Reeves has been solid all throughout.
Hachimura, these two guys have
Hachimura has been solid all throughout the season. But I mean, you would expect people like Gelo to come to the party. You would expect people like Schroeder to come to the party. You would expect even my good friend, the three-point shooter who was acquired somewhere in the mid-season. I struggle to get his name at the moment, but you expect all of them to come to the picture. A lot of the times, a lot of them were missing. But I mean, it's good for the neutrals.
Yeah, but honestly speaking, I think that the Denver Nuggets are a solid unit. I watch the ball movement of the Denver Nuggets and how they're able to fashion play around Nikola Jokic. I'm trying to figure out what Jokic cannot do. Kofi, it's not just about his ability in the paint and his ability to pick a pass. Kofi is one of his greatest assets that people do not usually, give him credit for. He's one of the best passers of the ball. So, like I said, for me, I look at, the Denver Nuggets. They are a group of guys who have been built over, since the bubble. These guys have been solid throughout the season, and they have the best record in the league. And if it happens that whoever faces them, they would have the home court advantage. Yeah. And throughout the season, they've had the best home court advantage. And even in this series, they are yet to lose at home. It tells you how difficult it is to beat them in Denver. And one of the things that makes it so is the altitude in Denver. So a lot of people have the air in Denver is actually different from in terms of the altitude. It's like going to Bolivia in Argentina. You would have to play there for a while before you can get accustomed to it. But it's going to be an exciting series, guys. So let's see what happens in a couple of, I think tomorrow or so, the Celtics take on the Miami Heat in Boston. The game 7 is going down. It's do or die. Miami can do it because they're beating Celtics at home this season and this series twice. So we don't know who is actually picking this, but it looks like the momentum is on the side of the Boston Celtics. But Jimmy Butler, playoff Butler, we know he can step up when it matters the most. So for our basketball fans out there, stay tuned. We'll be bringing you more info in relation to this year's series and this year's NBA championship. But I think enough of the NBA.
Well, let's zoom straight to action. Let's zoom straight to action. I'm trying to get the league table.
The Premier League, wrapped up. Today.
It did.
The La Liga wrapped up today. The German Bundesliga wrapped up yesterday. We cannot go without talking about the German Bundesliga. So maybe between Arsenal and Dortmund, who would you consider the biggest bottlers? I'm not talking about just this season, because it's become a norm with, and honestly speaking, yesterday I was pissed. No, heartbroken would be, I am a fan of Dortmund, but I was pissed to the roof because, listen, you cannot get it any better way than just win at home. You're not playing against Bayern Munich. You're playing against Mainz, for crying out loud. All throughout this, for the past 10 games, you've been brilliant. You've ensured that you've kept Bayern, on their toes. And in the last 5 games, you were the reason why Bayern, literally, people were saying that they were out of all competitions. And actually, if for anything, they're the reason why Oliver Kahn and, Hassan Salihamidzic have been sacked, because they feel that certain decisions, have not helped the cause of Bayern Munich this season. And come on, Borussia Dortmund. Why was Adeyemi on the bench?
Well, I don't know.
Because honestly, for me, I have one rule.
Yeah.
If a player is fit enough to be on the bench, at least it means that he can give you about 50 to 60% of himself. Because if you put him on the bench, it means that when push comes to shove, there's a capability that you bring him on. But Kofi, when Adeyemi came in, that was when the entire dynamics of the game, and this is the guy who, together with Bellingham, have been the guys who have pushed the course of Borussia Dortmund. And on the last day, when you needed, yesterday I was pissed.
I think that before we go to the dynamics of the German league and Dortmund bottling it and attempting to answer your question about who between Arsenal and Dortmund are the chief bottlers, if there's any phrase for that. I think that yesterday showed me a lot about the character of the Dortmund team.
Yeah.
I think that they lack leadership.
Yeah, there was no Marco.
When they got the penalty, when they were down by a goal. You see that momentary scuffle, that momentary show of power. That is when they lost it.
But Kofi, to probably, maybe you could answer that. At that moment, yes, on the pitch, the players probably were in that scuffle. They had lost their mind because, guys, we're on the verge of winning the league. We are losing 1-0. So probably that you could expect that. Where was the manager?
No, you see, where was the manager? Fair point.
Call a player outside. Communicate your decision to him.
This is where I think there's a major problem, because listen, I have never played football before.
Yeah.
I have never been in any dressing room.
Yeah.
But from the little literature and from the little research I have done, most of these events are played out beforehand in the dressing room.
That's true.
You understand? So at any given time, if we are 11 players on the pitch, there is a hierarchy.
Yeah.
Normally, they know who takes it first. If the guy who decides to take it first
for some reason
declines, they know who is second in line, they know who is third in line. It tells me what happens. Tells me that one, probably, and this is purely hypothetical, probably there is no established order in that regard with Dortmund. And for me, I am shocked if that would be the case. I am only trying to play the devil's advocate that I hope this is not the case, because there was a scuffle between Allah and then Khan. You understand? So who gets to play what? Because yes, we know that if Royce was on the pitch, he would have been the first option. But why not Bellingham? Why not all of those other guys?
Bellingham was on the bench.
You understand? I mean, exactly. But you look at all of these dynamics, I think that there's something wrong, and that's where naivety in coaching comes in.
Yeah.
I think that there were issues with Dortmund and their coaching. And then this is where probably we draw similarities between Dortmund and then Arsenal. I think that both of these teams lost the league because of their managers, because of the naivety in the technical direction that these two managers led the team with. And for me, I am very disappointed in Dortmund.
Govi,
Because you will not get a better chance than James. Listen, Bayern had virtually pressed the self-capitulation button. They were capitulating by themselves.
They got knocked out of
the Champions League,
the German
the
Cup,
DFB Pokal, they were out.
The Champions League, the league itself. I'm sure Bayern themselves
Did not believe.
They knew, okay, come on, Dortmund, they are on fantastic run of form. They are playing at home against Mainz. They will definitely win. So when actually there were 2 goals down, I was in shock that is this happening? And you see, for some reason, they had some reprieve when the game between Bayern and Bayern were playing which team?
Playing one of these teams.
Augsburg?
No, yes, I think
they equalized. So I was saying, okay, still based on they equalizing,
yes,
it looks like things are going well for Dortmund. But come on, Borussia Dortmund. And for me, if I were the probably the CEO or whoever is handling Borussia Dortmund, I'll fire the manager for this. Kofi,
but I don't believe Arteta should be fired.
No, I don't believe Arteta to be fired. Arteta did not bottle the league on the last day. Arteta did not bottle the league with 45 minutes to go. That's Arteta had, Arteta lost the league because there were a series of games that he couldn't win. But if Arteta were to be in this position, I think Arsenal would have won.
No, I think he would have bottled it.
Again, it's hypothetical.
Yes,
and it's opinionating.
Yes.
But I think if Arsenal had a game to go, win the final day of the season, win that game, and annex the trophy at the Emirates, I think Arteta would not. So for me,
lost it.
I think that whoever is handling Borussia Dortmund should actually consider sacking the manager, because you do not prepare for a full season, and when it matters the most, and they have not been league champions for 11 years now. This is the 11th consecutive time Bayern are winning the league. For one of these, for almost 10 years, would have broken that jinx. You had just 40 or let's say 90 minutes to do that. There is no way a manager can convince me that you deserve to stay. And you've spoken about it. Character. What was the preparation going into that game? What was the mentality going into that game? Because Dortmund did not play well. If you watch the game, Borussia Dortmund did not play well. And for me, and again, I question, why is it that some of your best players all throughout the season, at least 2 or 3 of them, they were fit enough to be on the bench. Even if they were 50% fit, I would put another who was 50% fit in the game. And when he came on, we saw his ability to create space. And it's one of the reasons why they were able to equalize in the end. But for me, Kofi, I do not think that this coach should continue next season, because on what ground will you give me, or will you justify being the coach of Borussia Dortmund next season? No, how would you convince the board that they should give you a chance?
Well,
because this is the German Bundesliga for crying out loud.
Like you've always said, I probably will align with your theory. I mean, like you've always said, we have overachieved.
Which is?
I do not think that Dortmund set out to win the league.
Like
you've always said
Germany,
about Arsenal.
No,
hold on. Like you've always said about Arsenal,
yeah.
I think Dortmund have overachieved. Nobody expected them to be in this position, and so if they end up losing the league, I do not think that. I mean, it is anything too catastrophic. Per your analogy that you've always carried around, and so I think that. Dortmund have overachieved. I do not think there should be repercussions for the manager. I think that they need to go get their house in order. It is heartbreaking. It is a bit catastrophic, but it is what it is.
But do you know why I disagree? And before we quickly switch the discussion, do you know why I disagree? The dynamics between Arsenal and Dortmund are totally different. In the German Bundesliga, there are just 2 teams who are literally running the affairs. It's either Dortmund wins it or Bayern Munich wins it. But in the English Premier League, it's not the case. as we speak, in the last 5 seasons, it's just been Liverpool and Manchester City battling it out. If it was the case of between Manchester City and Liverpool, that narrative would have worked. But Arsenal were the odd one out going into this season. Unless, I mean, again, I will go by my former narrative. Unless you want to be disingenuous to the conversation, when the league started, nobody rated Arsenal as being league winners. Unlike in Germany, if Bayern Munich do not win it, the obvious person to win it will be Borussia Dortmund. So if you have the opportunity to win it and you bottle it this way, I do not think that you have any kind of justification for me to give you probably another season to justify what? Anyway, I do not know what our guys think. I don't know what they think about the
conversation.
You know, somebody's saying that.
Somebody's
saying that the way they did Dortmund worried investors.
That was.
No, they said Dortmund worried investors. I don't know if you are watching. If you were one of those investors who sat back and asked yourself, "Oh, Dortmund, why?" But guys, join in the conversation. We are literally, wrapping up the season and analyzing every major event that happened in the season. Obviously, the English Premier League will take major precedence or will take center stage of our discussion. Kofi.
Yeah. What is your best goal of the season?
In the Premier League?
Yeah.
There've been a lot. Goal of the season. I would have given it to Alexander Isak. That the goal that Alexander Isak literally created, but it's not the goal. It's the assist that leading to the goal that makes it exciting. But honestly, there've been a lot of brilliant goals. I might just for some reason pick up what's his name? Enciso? The Brighton. Do you know why I picked that goal? The series City. Of possession against Manchester City. They actually controlled possession for more than a minute, and they actually opened City up in the process and in the quest to scoring that goal. I would take that goal as my goal of the season. Wow. The sequences leading to that goal is
it's for you. It's not just about the brilliance.
It's not just about the brilliance of the goal, but they passed the foreplay. They literally massage City up and wow, I might be becoming a bit ambiguous. They massage City up and they open City up and they scored.
I don't know what you're thinking, but and see, so we'll probably we'll take a cursory look at the scouting network of Brighton, and what they are doing right, and we'll take a cursory look at some of those little details. But he scored another goal against Chelsea. You understand? And for me, I also have had some wonderful goals being scored. I think that Haaland has scored some wonderful goals. Kevin De Bruyne, some wonderful goals.
That Haaland goal against Southampton, that was it mini bicycle kick or mini volley of a sort. That was also a good goal.
So there have been some wonderful goals that have been scored. But for me, if I want to rate a goal, it just has to be a summation of the technical abilities. And like you said, I mean, the build up to the goal, because anybody can score a wonderful goal, but you would want to put it in context. And for me, I think that Enciso's goal against City, wonderful
sequence
goal.
Of play.
Wonderful goal.
It passed City out.
Wonderful goal.
Really, do you find Manchester City being passed out?
And then I think that Brighton themselves, Estudiantes. Is that the name? Estudiantes.
Anyway,
whatever it is. I mean, he scored a wonderful goal. Wonderful goal. And for me, I think that I also look at Casemiro's goal. Even
which goal was that?
2 days ago, I think.
The one that ricocheted
the bicycle kick.
The one that ricocheted off the defender, and he,
Yes.
That turn. Instinctive turn. It's akin to Gundogan's goal against Everton. that instinctive turn, he control the ball on his, thighs, turned and, knocked that ball in. So there have been a series of goals that have been scored that are brilliant, but it looks like myself and Kofi, we are tilted towards the same, direction. But guys, if you are watching us, which would be your pick for the goal of the season? Let us know in the comment section as we do. Literally, we are rounding up the Premier League season and the season across Europe. We've looked a little bit about the Bundesliga, the Borussia Dortmund bottling it. If you have your take on it, let us know. What do you think of Dortmund bottling that league between themselves and Arsenal? Which of these two teams are in Kofi's words, bigger bottlers? But we are looking at the Premier League. So goal of the season, Encisio's goal. I automatically pick Encisio. There have been great goals, but I think that I'll go for Encisio's goal.
Well, I think I'll go with that one also. I'll probably also go with one of the goals that Harry Kane had to score. I'll get you the opponent, but there have been brilliant goals. But I think that all throughout the season, it's been fun.
Yeah.
It's been fun watching some of the goals going. It's been fun getting to see some of the strikers.
Brilliant goals.
And you see, the truth of the matter is that if you look at the EPL, and we are talking about the EPL in retrospect, I mean, if you look at the EPL, I think that this has been one of the fewest seasons that strikers have really come to the party.
Yeah.
You look at Harry Kane, you look at Mo Salah. Mo Salah did not begin the season too great. You look at Ellen Haaland. You look at Gabriel Jesus. You look at Arsenal's front three, Bakayo Saka. You want to look at even my good friend Martinelli. And then you look at Rashford. So all throughout the season, you take a look at the major teams. You take a look at Harry Kane. You take a look at some of the strikers that we expected to come to the party, and I think that they lit the league alight, and they scored a lot of wonderful goals. But like I said, I mean, like, I would want to agree with you. If you look at the play before the goal, and if you look at how they were able to construct that particular move and then open City up, and then the guy had to finish it past a world-class goalkeeper.
Based on my checks, they actually put together 30 passes
before the goal
in the process or in the build-up to that goal. Very few teams are able to do that against Manchester City without City robbing them off the ball. That's why, for me, I think that goal is one that is created directly from the kitchen of Roberto De Zerbi. His name, Roberto De Zerbi. Roberto deserves it. So he actually deserves all the accolades. He's been. So when we come to the coach of the season, we'll probably break down some of these great managers that we've seen in the course of the season. But aside the goal of the season, Kofi, there have been tremendous players that have graced the scene in the Premier League this season. In your honest opinion, who for you is that one player that has gone under the radar that you think can be considered the most underrated player this season? Players that have gone under the radar, they've done their business brilliantly. Nobody's talking about them because the buzz is about Erling Haaland, the buzz is about Kevin De Bruyne, the buzz is about Arsenal bottling it. But there's that one guy that week in, week out, or each time his team shows up, he always delivers, but doesn't get the recognition for it. The most underrated player, in your honest opinion?
I think he has to be Odegaard, in my candid opinion.
Odegaard?
Martin Odegaard.
Wow.
That's interestingly, he plays in the same position as Bruno Fernandes, Kevin De Bruyne. Kevin De Bruyne. Yeah. He plays in that same position as some of the most beautiful creators that this league is blessed with. Yeah. You understand? But I think that if you look at the Odegaard story, the guy from Norway, he goes to Real Madrid, has to compete with a lot of big talents at Real Madrid, does not make the grade eventually at Real Madrid, decides to come to North London and then ply his trade with Arsenal, has had difficult stints in the league. But I think that if you watch Arsenal, and probably their failed momentum to winning the league, everything centered around Odegaard coming to the party every time. Yeah. If you played, Arsenal played well. Yeah. And for me, I think that he's not had a lot of mention. He's not had a lot of people say those good stuff about him because probably he's competing against some of the very best that the league has ever seen in the history of the EPL. You talk about Kevin De Bruyne. You talk about, I do not want to mention Bruno Fernandes in that regard because as at now he has not done anything too significant. You understand? But you talk about some of the chief creators in the league. He's there. So Odegaard has to be my first pick. Then I'll come to the whole back line of Newcastle. I do not know who to choose from.
Do you know actually, my underrated player of the season is in the Newcastle team.
Newcastle team.
Yeah, he's actually in the back line of the Newcastle team. I'll not tell you.
Trippier.
Kieran Trippier.
For
me,
that's why I
what
told you
Trippier
that
has done. If he was in United, if he was in City, if he was in Arsenal,
he would have been having world-class accolades.
He would have been having world-class accolades. We'll probably be mentioning him in the light of the players of the season. He's been not just a player for the team, an excellent leader from the back end for the team itself. And for me, I'm surprised that a lot of commentaries are not, we are not seeing a lot of commentaries about Kieran Trippier, but Kieran Trippier has been my most, very, very underrated. If he's putting up the performances Kyle Walker has put up in the last 8, 7, 10 games, this guy has been consistent since
the
the season started. So for me, it's Kieran Trippier and nobody else. Nobody can convince me
I agree with you. I think that you look at that whole Newcastle backline, one of the meanest defenses in the EPL. Is the reason why they had to go on that run that they had to go on, and then is the reason why, there's a cliche that if you keep clean sheets, then you tilt towards me winning the most major laurels. You understand? And I think that what Eddie Howe did was smart. Build a solid defensive unit, and then everything centered around it. You understand? But you look at that whole Newcastle defense, and I don't agree with you. Trippier, you look at Dan Burn and that center defense pairing. You understand? I think that they've been absolutely tremendous, but the leader of that pack has to be Trippier. Trippier has done his job wonderfully.
I didn't expect him to play this well because when he went to Atletico Madrid, he dipped in form. We saw Atletico Madrid in the Champions League. We saw them in Europe. We saw them in the Liga. He was actually, at some point, he was dropped by, Diego Simeone. But he comes back, as old as he is, he comes back into the Premier League, and it's like he never left. And he's playing for a team that literally, there's a lot at stake. There's an investment in there. There's an expectation. And he was handed the captaincy band. And he's not just a good player for the team. He's a good leader as well. That's why for me, I would go for it. I agree with you on the Odegaard bid. I think that he is in my team of the season. We'll go to our various team of the season, but Odegaard is in my team of the season. I agree with you that very, very underrated. Again, if Odegaard is playing for City or Manchester United, we'll be ranting and raving about him because he hit double figures in assists and goals. Yeah. And for me, he's part of the contributing pack who have helped in pushing the cause of Arsenal this season.
The field cause.
Though they didn't win the ultimate, but then I think that Odegaard deserves a lot of money. So these two players for me, I think that they've been.
Well, for me, another one has to be the last one, Callum Wilson.
Really, Callum Wilson? Yes, he's called a couple of
Callum Wilson.
The most underrated player.
Yeah.
If Odegaard, Trippier is not there, he could be in there.
Well, and for the kind of impact that Callum Wilson had, together with Isak.
Yes,
the
Isak,
kind of
I would have mentioned
they
Isak's
had.
Yeah. But then Isak came in January.
Yes, it's not about longevity.
It doesn't look like he came in January.
For me, anytime I've seen him play,
the guy that play ball.
The guy that play ball. Anytime I've seen him play, Isak is a wonderful talent. You see, when Isak was with Real Sociedad, a lot of people felt that, is this
the La Liga?
Can this guy transition from the La Liga?
He's been brilliant
for big money. We've seen players crumble under the tag of being bought for big money. But anytime I've seen Isak play, the guy shows me
his footwork is incredible for his physique.
Come on.
And his
Strength
the guy's
and his
good.
ability to hold that play and his ability. He's not just a goal scorer.
Yeah.
He's a visionary.
That for me, there's no better assist across Europe in the last 2 seasons that surpasses Isak's assist. I don't know if it was against Everton. No, it was not against
Spurs.
Tottenham Hotspur. He literally took the entire Spurs team to the cleaners and the entire Spurs defense to the cleaners. That for me was incredible.
Absolutely incredible.
But I will not put him there because he came in January.
Well, but we've seen players come in January. I saw Bruno Fernandes come in January and then was in the team of the season. It's all about the impact. It's all about how much the player was able to affect the course of their team. And I think that you cannot. Yes, we can talk about the Dan Burns and the Trippiers and the Nick Popes and all of those other wonderful players in that Newcastle team. But I am pretty sure that if not for the impact of Isak, we probably wouldn't be raving about Newcastle and they are making it into the top 4 and subsequently they are qualifying for the Champions League.
Guys, could we also put in a player like Wan-Bissaka? Because this is one guy who has been vilified, who has been undermined a lot. But if you watch Wan-Bissaka in the second half of the season, he's been one of the solid defenders. And yes, the game now has evolved so much that fullbacks literally do not they do not carry the tag.
They say they call them modern day fullback. They
do not carry. It's not about it being modern day because this what fullbacks are in terms of they adding to the attack. Come on, we've seen Cafu. These guys reinvented it. Zambrotta, they invented it. Yes, what is new now is that inversion role where these guys tuck into midfield. We are not talking about that, but the ability to join the attack. But this guy's first priority is to defend. And if you are picking right fullbacks in the league this season, in terms of right fullbacks who are amongst the best defenders, you cannot look past Trippier and Wan-Bissaka. So for me, that's based on the second half of the season. If there's another player I may include in my most underrated player, I think Wan-Bissaka.
Well,
barring all other things, the guy is a solid defender.
Well, I think that I couldn't have agreed with you perfectly. You look at Wan-Bissaka. In January, the narrative was that Erik ten Hag wanted him out.
Yeah.
In fact, before Erik ten Hag took over the reins at Manchester United, the issue with Wan-Bissaka is that he's never been a bad defender. In fact, everybody says that if it comes to 1v1, defending 1v1, probably you struggle to look beyond anyone else in the world.
But why is it that for a fullback he can't seem to ever get his crosses right? Because one of the greatest attributes because your ability to join the attack means that your ability to at least put a ball inside the box to locate a player of yours. He can't seem to get it right with his crosses.
Well, I think that if you watch Wan-Bissaka in the last 10, 11, 12, he's very much improved. Yes, there are still issues to do with decision making when it comes to the final third, but I think that he's very much improved. He's a much transformed player, and that we need to give a lot of credit to the coaching, to the coach and the coaching staff for. I would want to agree with you that Wan-Bissaka has to definitely be in that category of underrated players.
There are a lot of things. Like you said, we are unpacking the English Premier League. We'll be looking at some of the major controversial decisions that took place in the course of the season. But we've looked at the goal of the season so far. We've looked at the most underrated player. So join the conversation. And guys, if you're watching us from the diaspora, if you're watching us from Europe, the America, wherever you're doing the watching from, support the team with your super stickers. We appreciate that very much. Comment. We want to see your comments. We'll be reading your coffee. We'll be going through your comments. We'll be taking them as the show goes on. But so we looked at the goal of the season, the most underrated player of the season. Kofi, I think this will be interesting. The flop of the season. With that one player that came in, because for you to be a flop, you would have to come in with some level of reputation and expectation.
Hyun-Soo-min.
Charlie, plenty.
Hyun-Soo-min.
You think Hyun-Soo-min flop of the
Hyun-Min-Song.
season?
Yeah.
Woo!
He'll be in my category. Hyun-Min-Song.
Your first on the list.
No, he'll be in the first on my list. I mean, because
The first on Hyun-Min Song.
yeah, Hyun-Min-Song. I mean, this is a guy who
Why?
has come in with a lot of reputation, has come in with a lot of. His name virtually precedes him.
My flop of the season, 90% is coming from
From
Chelsea.
the Chelsea. Wait, I will come to Chelsea. I mean, I'm sure. I'm sure you. But let me deal with the Human Song issue
Yeah.
first. I think that Human Song, when Conte took over, one of the major things that we are all expecting from Conte was that the axis between Harry Kane and then Human Song had proven to be very effective. You understand? Even outlasting is coming to preceding. Sorry, is coming to Tottenham, but Human Song did not really put in a lot of shifts. And at a certain point in time, Conte had to drop him. He had to come from the bench. Sorry, he still was not the same player. He's still not the same player I've come to know Human Song for. And for me, he was the flop of the season. He will be in my category as the flop of the season. And Human Song has to be in there. So he'll be the first name on my list. And then Wesley Fofana.
Have we started the Chelsea list?
Yeah.
Okay. Wesley Fofana.
Wesley Fofana.
Okay. Who else?
Maybe one of the reasons why Leicester had to be relegated, because they need to pay for their sins. They need to pay for some of the things that they have meted out to teams. Look, we are talking about players who have come from their stables.
Yeah.
Wesley Fofana, Harry Maguire, and these are 70 million plus players.
Guys, Kofi is speaking from a place of pain.
No. Listen. I mean, listen. You look at Leicester. You look at the things that they have done to opponents. You understand? I mean, bullying opponents into buying very mediocre players for huge prices.
Yeah.
So, but anytime I look at Fofana, the guy is 22, 23 years old. Anytime I look at Fofana, I believe in grace.
Yeah.
Because the guy simply cannot defend to save his own life. And you do not tell me that this is a guy who should be worth 70 plus million pounds.
So
way.
You think there's Human Song? So guys, Kofi is giving us his flops of the season. Human Song, Wesley Fofana, who else?
Then I'll put my very good friend in there. My very good friend.
You have a lot of very good friends, you know.
I want you to guess who I'm going to mention.
Maybe you could probably give me the team he's from.
He plays for Liverpool. I don't know why you're excited. The ponytailed guy.
Darwin Nunes.
No? In fact, two ponytailed guys.
Is that another ponytail guy?
Van Dijk.
Oh, wow! You think Van Dijk was a flop this season?
He was terrible.
You know,
It was terrible.
Oh,
Absolutely
you're
terrible.
actually-
I'm sure if you
you know,
did a
terrible
mixtape,
is a
if you
much
did a
worse
mixtape,
word.
if you did a mixtape of Van Dijk this season, understand? For people who have not watched this show before,
Guys,
for people who have not watched this show before, the guy who defends with his back, with his buttocks. You understand? I mean, I probably I would probably show how. No, you do not defend like that.
the art of defending. Do not copy Virgil van Dijk.
Van Dijk should be in there, and I think that he's had a horrible season.
Give us one. Also, you're giving us four.
I've
So
given you
there's-
4.
We need your 5. There's Human Song. There's Fofana. There's Van Dijk. There's Darwin Nunes. Who else? Who's your final 5? Who's your final pick?
And obviously, there has to be Darwin Nunes in there.
Yes, you've actually given us Darwin Nunes. So Darwin Nunes, Van
Oh,
Dijk,
okay.
and Fofana and Song.
Song.
Who will be your last?
The last one has to be Anthony Martial.
Do you consider Anthony Martial's issue he being a flop because one, this season he didn't. Everybody expected that Martial will not be a hit this season because of his injury-plagued issues. So for me, he's having a Martial season. Last season, there's nothing different from what he did last season from what he's done this season. Even the previous seasons, Martial is one of those players. For me personally, I've been very disappointed because he comes from that Monaco tree
team.
of gems, and when he came to United, he came with a big reputation. It was 60 million. You look at the excesses and the bonus when he qualified for the Champions League, when he plays this up, and his first game, the biggest game in England against Liverpool, he scores a goal. You could see this is a talent for the future. But I do not know whether the coaches that have handled him, whether it is his own personal issues, but he's yet to hit the height. I do not think that he will hit it. So for I personally do not think that he's been a flop. Flops are people you expect a lot from, who either come in with high reputation, big price tags, or but they fail to deliver.
I think I'll put Martial in there because listen, I looked at Martial in the off season. He was absolutely phenomenal, off season he was phenomenal, and then this is a guy who clearly fits the profile of players that Eric Ten Hag loves. You understand? I mean, if you look at Anthony Martial, his skill set, his movement, his intelligence. But I think that he's been a flop in my candid opinion because sometimes he allows the demons of old to come back to haunt him anytime he's on the pitch. You understand? Because there's no denying the fact that Anthony Martial is a brilliant player. But you look at his body language, you look at his ability to get himself engrossed in the play. You look at his outlook when things do not go in his favor. And I think that, I mean, listen, because I had high hopes for Anthony Martial this season. I think that, yes, I mean, we can talk about the narrative of being the kid who came from Monaco, had to do my good friend, that Liverpool defender.
Liverpool fans pray that we don't, remember the name, or we don't.
They called him Prison Break. You understand? That's what my boys used to call him. That's Slovak. Slovak.
Sketel.
Yes.
Martin Sketel.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Slovak. Doing him dirty, scoring that goal in the Van Gaal era. Everybody thought that, I mean, this is a star that has been born. And I've always told people that if you're talking about the top 3 skillful players in Manchester United, you cannot leave out Anthony Martial.
So you
but
think
anytime he walks onto the pitch, I think that he does not bring the whole package.
You think that Martial, Heung-min Son, the 2 Liverpool ponytail guys in Darwin Núñez and Virgil van Dijk and Fofana. So these guys, I told you my flops of the season, 90% will come from Chelsea. You may not like it, but one, Sterling has to be in there. I mean, you do not come from Manchester City the season before. You lifted a trophy with them. You were part of actually the top goal scorers for City. Come to Chelsea, and Sterling has been horrible for Chelsea. I expected that in the chaos, with his experience and with his quality, at least he'll be that one standout element. But I was Sterling play, and it's as though he's been sucked in that, mediocre or that poor performance that has shrouded Chelsea's season. I don't know what has happened to Sterling, but come on. I'm tempted to believe that probably Manchester City saw it. That's why they were not so perturbed about his departure. But Sterling has definitely got to be in my list for flops of the season. For me, because of his experience and the fact that in that Chelsea team, he's about one of the most experienced players in the Premier League in the Chelsea team, especially with the experience he's garnered from winning the league successively with Manchester City. The second player, no doubt, Wesley Fofana. Like Kofi said, listen, that guy, that's why sometimes I think that it's not so much interesting when you enter into a discourse and you are discussing price tags of players, because I think that if you look at the dispensation we find ourselves in, clubs do not control the price, especially the buying club. The selling clubs, control the price. So they could sell a player for you for 80 million, 100 million. We all know that the market demands that the player will probably go for that, but that player for anything football is not worth that. And that's a typical case in Wesley Fofana. That guy, I do not know. I'm looking at his skill set. What does he bring on board as a defender? Because one-on-one, he's not a one-on-one very good defender. You could easily go past him. I've watched on countless occasions that attackers have literally gone past him with ease, and he cannot run to save his life. If he has to track back, he's not a player you expect to track back to probably thwart an opposition attack. So for me, I'm looking at his skills, and he's not so much good in the air as well. So what actually necessitated the handlers of Chelsea in seeing something in him? I can understand the acquisition of Maguire. I spoke about Maguire at Leicester City. Was a top defender, very good in the air. When it comes to ball playing defenders, he's one of those people. But Fofana, for me, flop of the season. Another Darwin Núñez. Listen, you don't come for 80 million with all those add-ons for close to 100 million and put up the show you put up and expect that we will not put you in the list of flops of the season. This guy deserves to be in there, because the departure of Sadio Mane, the injury to Ruben Diaz, you were expected to step up and push Luis Diaz and push the attack of
Luis Diaz and then Thiago Jota.
Yes, Thiago Jota expected to push the attack of Liverpool, but it looks like the same story over and over again, replicating itself in Mo Salah stepping up. Mo Salah even in the supposed Liverpool's bad season. I was telling somebody that Mo Salah is having a Mo Salah season, very, very good season. 19 goals with double figures in assists. That's a typical Mo Salah season. 20 goals plus Mo Salah season. Liverpool have had a bad season, but for Mo Salah, he's always ensured that he comes or he rescues the club when he needed the most. It's not so much about the goals that I was expecting Núñez to score, but the number of big chances. If you look at the stats, he is the one player that had big chances the most in the Premier League. Darwin Núñez. And yet, he's that one same player who blew away the most big chances. You do not come in for big money and put up the kind of performance that you have. So, for me, Raheem Sterling, Wesley Fofana, Darwin Núñez, then definitely, Kai Havertz. What is Kai Havertz good at? Kai Havertz.
Well, I think you cannot force Kai Havertz.
Kai Havertz.
Well, I think he's a world-class player.
Did Kai Havertz this season? Kofi, maybe you are looking at Kai Havertz last season, and I've always told you that Kai Havertz has been a player for moments. Kai Havertz has never put up consistent performances that would wow you for even 5 games continuous. He's been not that moment kind of player.
Well, you know why I'll disagree with you sharply on the Kai Havertz bit. Yeah. I think that he's been made to pay for the sins of others, you understand? And he's been made to be a scapegoat. I mean, listen, Kai Havertz is playing in a role where at any organized club he shouldn't be. But he's leading the lines. The guy, for crying out loud, is not a striker.
When Chelsea won the Champions League against City last season, he played most of his, especially in January when Timo Werner departed. He played the rest of the season as a number 9.
No, but how do you put the blame on him when you have recognized strikers on the books of the team?
That is not my issue. The fact that you are called to play a role, and for me, I keep saying I do not know what people see in Kai Havertz. Like I said, if Kai Havertz was in Liverpool, we'll probably be considering him as one of the worst players of the season, because for me, he's been very, very poor. Why are we not talking about Richarlison? This guy comes up for 60 million pounds, and not even a single goal the entire season. Not even a single goal. Richarlison, he should be on top of the list, guys. I don't know. And Anthony comes for how much? Anthony bought. I mean, 100 million Anthony playing a beach soccer kind of football, futsal football. Really, there are lots of players for the flop of the season, but maybe I'll go past the 5. So there's Richarlison, there's Anthony, there's Kai Havertz, there's Fofana, there's Sterling. Which other player did I mention? Darwin Núñez. So I'll give you like 7. I could give you an entire first 11 of flops. A complete first 11 of flops, and like I said, 90% will come from Chelsea.
Okay, let's start from goalkeepers.
Goalkeeper flop of the season. Obviously, it has to be what is it called? Hugo Lloris. The guy is now Wasan. Thank God Ben Foster took over for him, because I think Hugo Lloris will be my number 1. Let me see if I can get you a number 2. Aspilicueta. No, being old. Have you seen Thiago Silva? Thiago Silva is old. Aspilicueta will man the right back for the flops of the season.
Aspilicueta not look at Trent.
No. I think Trent has been better than us.
Terrible.
Okay, terrible. Let's build our flop of the season first 11. So you build yours and I'll build mine. Mine, I'll have Hugo Lloris number 1, Aspilicueta number 2, number 3, Cucurella.
Hey, I even forgot he exists too.
65 million pounds. This is what we get for 65 million pounds. Cucurella. So who will be my central defense pairing? Obviously, there will be Wesley Fofana in there, Van Dijk. So I'm done with my back 4. Now in the middle of the pack, there's obviously Fabinho. He was poor this season. Fabinho. Then probably Fabinho will partner another Liverpool player. Alcantara. Listen, Alcantara came in with a lot of reputation at Bayern Munich. He was one of the key cogs in helping Bayern Munich win the trophy. But he comes to Liverpool, and for me, Alcantara very, very poor. Who else? I'm playing a 4-2-2, 4-2-3-1. So I'm done with my central midfield pairing. Then the Sterling will be on the right. Anthony will be on the left. Then Richarlison will lead the lines. You'll be that. So it looks like my first 11 is done for flops of the season. Can you, on top of your head, give us your first 11? So clearly, I've been able to put up an entire 11 squad. Oh, trust me, some players have been disappointed. They have been disappointing this season.
Well, let me start with my number 9. It has to be Darwin Núñez.
Wow. Darwin Núñez is on the bench.
No,
I even have spare.
No, he has to be Darwin Núñez leading the lines. Then Richarlison playing behind Darwin Núñez.
So a 4-4-2.
You understand? So, and then you have my good friend Sterling on the left.
Anthony.
No, Anthony.
Anthony has just been a flop in your eyes.
No, Anthony.
What of Jadon Sancho? There are lots of players. So for me, Jadon Sancho will also be on the bench. Martial will be on the bench. Sancho. When we had our maiden show, you were ranting and raving about Sancho. Have you seen him?
I will not put Anthony. I'll put Modric on the right.
Come on. Modric came in January and he was not even getting game time. Come on, I think that would be so. Oh. So you would rather.
So you want to choose the team of the flop team of the season for me?
Anyway,
so unfair to me.
Finish up so we can quickly run up with it. With the discussion.
I'll put Modric on the right. The guy cannot play football.
Okay. Then who else will be in the middle?
In the middle.
Yeah.
In the middle.
It looks like you're going for a 4-4-2.
No, in the middle. In the middle, I'll go for. I'll not go for Fabinho.
His case was Unyebimbo because Rodri was good.
I will not go for Calvin Phillips. I think that.
You don't blame him.
I don't blame him.
Yes, he didn't even get game time. You don't blame him.
I don't blame him.
How do you unseat Rodri?
In the middle.
Partey, somebody mentioned Partey. Partey wasn't bad. It's just about the tail end of the season that he lost from. I think that would be so unfair. A player that was in the running for team of the season. Oh no, Sports 101 will not be unfair. It will be so unfair to Partey.
No, who's team of the season?
Team of the season.
Who's team?
EPL team of the season.
No. Partey.
We'll probably get there. We'll get there.
Well,
Yeah.
for me, in the middle, I would run with Alcantara,
Uh-huh.
and then I would run with what's the name of that guy who plays for? I want to go with Alcantara.
Can you get 11?
Yes, so I've done my front four.
Yes.
I've done my front four. Darwin Nunes, Modric, Sterling, Richarlison playing behind him.
Yeah.
And then I'll do Alcantara. Let me try to do Alcantara, and then McTominay. I'll do McTominay.
Players who
Because
are peripheral players, I don't consider them as flop. He's been a McTominay. Yes, he's had a McTominay season.
I'll do McTominay because a lot of things were said about him. A lot of promise was said about him. I'll do Alcantara and McTominay. Then my middle, Trent. My back, Trent. Cucurella.
So you're actually playing a 4-2-4.
I am playing a 4-2-3-1.
Okay.
So I'll play Trent, Cucurella.
I'll
play
the center back,
Fofana and Tutu. You understand? Fofana and Van Dijk. Then I'll not put Hugo Lloris.
Who?
I'll put that Chelsea keeper, Kepa.
Yeah, I think Kepa too is
Kepa.
Oh, Kepa. So, guys, because of time, we have our flop of this to the extent that there's even some on the bench. There's Anthony on the bench. There's JD Sancho on the bench. There are a lot of players on the bench. But, guys, we want to hear from you. We've looked at the goal of the season. We've looked at the most underrated player of the season. The player that you think has been the flop of the season. Kofi, quickly, let's run through this because of time. Let's run through this, and this probably be exchanging it. Bargain of the season. That one player that was bought that for you is based on his performance, you should have gone for a high.
Leandro Trossard.
You think that is?
Trossard.
Trossard was bought for. Yeah.
Well, I think listen, £30 million now is chicken change for quality players. Chicken change.
I think that for me, my bargain of the season would have to be Julian Alvarez, 15. And Akanji, 15 million.
Come on.
Akanji, 15 million. It was bought for 15 million pounds. If you look at the performance Akanji has put up, I think that for 15 million, it's a bargain. Okofi, you do not think so? He was just bought for just.
Well, I'll put Akanji in. No, I'll not put Akanji. I'll put Trossard in there. I'll put Eriksen in there. Eriksen virtually came for free.
That you do not blame because of the situation.
And I think that I look at somebody like Enciso.
Okay.
Fantastic player.
So let's look at the most I am him performance of the season. That one performance that literally, you could look at that one player who puts up that performance. You could look at this and say, wow, the showman. He literally, you could look at the game and say, this is him. The player is that player that makes the game, or that probably for that particular game you could look past nobody than that player. Which performance would that be?
Marcus Rashford against City at Old Trafford.
Ovi, what did Rashford do in that game?
Marcus Rashford against City at Old Trafford. Go back and watch that video, that tape, that game.
Yeah.
And listen, at that point, there was even talk about the fact that Manchester United genuinely were in the title race. You understand? And then you look at the performance. A lot of things were said about Marcus Rashford post the World Cup. And so the inclination was that, this is somebody who expects to wow the crowd, you understand? And in that particular fixture, it was not just about his goal. It was about his affecting of that game. So and for me, they do not come any bigger than the defending champions.
So you choose Marcus Rashford.
Yeah,
I'll go for Erling Haaland's first hat-trick of the season. That game that I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to remember the team he actually played against against Manchester United. It doesn't come any bigger than that. you know, first time in the league, against your biggest opponent in the league, against arguably the biggest club in England, and the guy, you know, decides who is Manchester United, probably for want of a better word, to hell with these guys. He puts up a hat-trick. I think that the most I am him performance should go to Erling Haaland, his first hat-trick against United, in the league against United. You think that Rashford performance outshines Erling Haaland's performance against Manchester United?
Well, I think we're talking perspectives.
Anyway,
We're
guys,
talking perspectives. I say we're talking perspectives because Haaland comes into a team that has been coached by a manager, same manager for 7 years. There is natural order. They know what they like. They have been an established order. They do not go shopping just for shopping's sake. You understand? So he comes into an established unit. So if Haaland, I've always made this case on this show, that what Haaland has done, Karim Benzema will do, Harry Kane will do, and probably even better. So I am not too surprised about Erling Haaland and some of the things that he's gone on to do with this City team.
So let me take some comments from the comment section. I think that let's give our viewers the opportunity to also share their views. But guys, you can also share your views on the issues that we've looked at. We've looked at the best goal of the season, the bargain of the season, that one player that you think deserves to be bought for a higher price because the output and everything does not match in terms of quality. Is actually below the price or above the price that he was bought for. So Richard Cyrus Odum says, we need the United fans. Our season have been so good and fantastic despite the roller coaster at some point of the season. All the same, we are glad to make it to Europe and also bagging a trophy. So right now, United fans are celebrating 4th place. They laughed at Arsenal.
No, they finished 8th.
They laughed at Arsenal for qualifying for the Champions League, and anytime Arsenal made it to the Champions League, hey, you've gotten your trophy. Now it looks like United fans are excited about making it back into the Champions League. But Richard, thank you very much. Benjamin Hagen says, United cry, why did they qualify to the CL? Maybe Kofi can answer that. Argent Studio says that Kofi, Benjamin Hagen, Arsenal will go and waste space in the Champions League. Pathetic club. We will probably look at. We'll spend time on the teams that have qualified in the EPL, and that will be representing the EPL in the Champions League. We'll be looking at that probably on another show. Dr. Angelo says that Arsenal's failure has so many factors. I agree the manager has some blame to get, but definitely not all. Yeah, gives us a thumbs up. Richie Cyrus Odun comes back to say, Dortmund yesterday showed the whole world, including Arsenal, that they are the biggest teams in terms of bottling. I agree. When it comes to bottling, there are no team come close to Arsenal. So Prince Gakwe sends us some super stickers. Thank you very much. We appreciate the love, Prince Gakwe. So Ni Latte says, great season. Richard Ogwa says, great season. Zongo Media says, Partey's goal against Nottingham. He will choose that goal. Yes, that thunderbolt of a strike as the goal of the season. We appreciate your super sticker. Kieran Trippier indeed is a gem. PH says, my player of the season must be Saka. Yeah, probably Saka is one player that has been overlooked. Double figures in goals and assists. I think 11 goals, 10 assists. That's incredible. 14 goals, 12 assists. That's incredible for a player who plays out wide. I think that we need to, in our Sports 101 team.
Come on, I mean, when Ronaldo was his age, he was shattering records in the APL.
Kofi. So, PK Jesse says, good job, guys. Thanks for everything. We love you. We love you back, PK. So, lots of comments coming there. PK Jesse, Kofi is always quick to judge. He should relax for Fofana and Chelsea. He just had a bad season. Blessing Abwaka says, the art of defending VVD or Martinez against Salah. So, he's giving us some, you know that Martinez against Salah moment. Charlie, that's also another how not to defend 101. Thanks for that one. Blessing. Thanks really for that one. So Anthony Martial was useless the whole season. So Anthony and Martial probably. Did anyone in the United teams call more than Nunes aside Rashford? I want to know. No, actually, nobody. There's nobody in that United team. Martial is an okay player. Please, Kofi should spare us the evening when Sevilla he couldn't play again. Stop mentioning Nunes' name in the flop of the season. You guys should get serious. So they don't want us to mention it, but I still think that Nunes, because of the price tag and the reputation the guy comes in with, he deserves to be in there. So Mohamed Ibrahim gives us flop of the season. Anthony, the guy is on my bench for my flop team of the season. Okay, Van Dijk, Martial, Nunes, and Modric. So literally most of the play, almost every single player we've mentioned there is in there as well. So you guys forgot Anthony. PK, we didn't forget Anthony. Anthony Kaumpa, that guy who loves to play futsal. He doesn't play, proper football. Calvin Phillips. I think that again, let's cut Calvin Phillips some slack. He didn't. Richarlison is one name that for me should be on top of the number one. No goal a season, £60 million. Come on, Richarlison. The only goal to that he scores, it was chopped off by VAR. Kofi, these are some of the comments coming in from the comment section. But let's quickly add this to the second hour. Kofi, more seriously, where should we even start from? Okay, let's start from this. Before we get to that, let's look at the signing of the season.
Woo, Casemiro.
Are you sure?
Casemiro. If there's one
how
thing
would you, before you continue, before you explain, how would you define, or what would be your indexes for picking a signing of, what would be your definition for the signing of the season?
Well, every team.
That's why. So let him define. Define for us. When we say signing of the season, so that we can place the players in perspective.
Well, I think that no two signings for two different teams can be the same.
Okay.
Because the dynamics of every team is different.
Okay.
Every team has their deficiencies. So when they sign a particular player, you look at the context of the team in question, and then you rate or you measure the impact of that player contextually.
Okay. So you are looking at signing of the season from the perspective of how the player that was
comes in not just makes an impact with the team, but the impact is felt outside the corridors of the team and appreciated largely by the rest of
you think that.
Well, I think that for too long a time, Manchester United had been crying for somebody in that engine room.
That's true.
For too long a time, there was no midfield at Manchester United.
Okay.
There was, and for a team that has spent so much money, if you look at the money that Manchester United have spent, to think that their midfield were virtually porous. I mean, and you see, if you wanted to do a proper introspection of the Manchester United midfield, you would probably have to weigh it against the midfield of City. You'd have to weigh it against the midfield of Liverpool when they were in their pomp. You'd have to weigh it against the midfield of Chelsea when they were in their pomp. And you realize that in the last 6-7 years, United have lacked a proper midfield. And so when Casemiro was being signed, I mean, everybody knows the dynamics around how Casemiro had come in. Everybody knows that the preferred target for Eric Ten Hag had to be Frankie de Jong. So when Casemiro was signed, everybody was like, oh, okay. Because, I mean, we have been so obsessed with this phrase, profile. Everybody was like, I mean, listen, you look at the profile of Frankie de Jong, you look at the profile of Casemiro. How do you draw those similarities? And especially after the kind of season that somebody like McTominay had previously, you'd expect that, oh, okay, why do you not give some of these young players the chance to grow under a manager who is famed for promoting youth? So Casemiro walks in. People said that he was going to enjoy his retirement at Manchester United. There was a lot of narrative that he wasn't coming to Manchester United to play competitive football. Why would anybody want to drop from the glory of the corridors of Real Madrid and then come to Manchester United for what? Probably not looking beyond the money. So the narrative was that it had to just be about the money and the money alone. But come on, Casemiro walks into the league and there's no proper defensive midfielder to date.
So for you, there's you come around the league and there are a lot of names that could pop up, but none of them comes close to Casemiro.
Listen,
basically
Casemiro,
because of the impact he's had at Manchester United.
Not just the impact. I can confidently say Casemiro is the best defensive midfielder in the league. Nobody comes close.
That's very debatable.
Nobody comes close.
That's
if you look at the
debatable.
skill set of Casemiro, if you look at the reputation that he came in with, if you look at what he's been able to do on the grandest of stages, and then what he's been able to do. No, mention one player. You do not dare mention somebody like Rodri around Casemiro.
Well, you know that's about the name that I'll mention. But again, it's very opinionated though.
No.
So Kofi goes for Casemiro, but I think that there are a couple of names that we should probably take a closer look at. I think that is it from Japan? Mitoma from Mitoma from
Brighton.
For Brighton. There's Erling Haaland for Manchester City. There's Ramsdale for Arsenal. I think that there's also Akanji as well for Manchester City. There are a couple of players. Listen, I think that even Kieran Trippier for Newcastle. There's Alexander Isak for Newcastle. I want to go around the league and see who. So for me, these players, and I'm picking these players because the reason why I do not want to, yes, Casemiro, honestly speaking, you cannot, speak against, or you cannot actually look beyond what Casemiro has done for Manchester United and the stability he's brought into that Manchester United midfield. And literally, you could see that United function very well in terms of their progression play, based on how well Casemiro decides to play. And anytime Casemiro plays, United's ability to progress and transition from defense to attack is seamlessly done. And for some reason, he's the reason why Bruno Fernandes has found a lot of joy playing that, double number 8, double number 10 roles, whichever, Eric Ten Hag decides to play. So I do not want to discount that. But the reason why I don't want to put him in there, because if you mention Casemiro, everybody knows what you should expect from him. This is Casemiro, who has been one of Real Madrid's best players.
But don't you think that makes it harder for the player? Because
I think
if your name precedes you, then it means you need to live up to the standards, walking in from your comfort zone to an unknown zone.
Now, this is why, again, that narrative for me doesn't work, because he's coming from Real Madrid, arguably the biggest club in the world, to Manchester United now. That for me is a third-class club in England. Because if you are mentioning clubs in England, you mention Manchester City, you mention Liverpool. These are the top 2 clubs in the last 5 seasons that have been relevant in English football. So where he's coming from, it is literally of a downgrade. So for me, in a way, this is just like a walk in the park for Casemiro, because one, he's played at, in your own words, for you to be able to don that Real Madrid jersey and perform at that level that you've been able to perform, you need to have a certain level of mentality. He's crossed that barrier. And so he looks around Manchester United. Who in that Manchester United has achieved more than what Casemiro has achieved?
Varane.
He's coming with Varane. I'm talking about that midfield.
I am saying Varane.
So for me, it will be so easy for Casemiro to come in, because Casemiro is not walking into a Manchester City side. He literally does not have any competition.
You do not think Casemiro can play in the City team?
If Casemiro
will easily
if Casemiro walks into this Manchester City team, he would have He will have a huge competition, because in Rodri, unlike, again, I'm comparing two teams. I'm comparing two teams.
Rodri to Casemiro. No.
Unlike Manchester United, who is his competition in that midfield? You sat here and you spoke about the fact that United have had no better defensive midfielder.
No, but in that City team, who is competition to Rodri?
That is the point. So let's say if Casemiro walks into City, unlike City do have an established, midfielder in Rodri. Rodri can easily, before Casemiro came to Manchester, and Rodri would easily walk into this Manchester United team and start because there's literally nobody.
I don't think it's a given.
Guys, put away Casemiro. Who in this Manchester United midfield will be competition? Is it Fred? Is it Scott McTominay? Who?
I don't know.
There's nobody. So who in this United team, if Rodri decides to switch camp before Casemiro came? So my point here is, at Manchester United, there's no competition. Unlike at City.
Let me be very blunt with you. You see, for too long a time, we've allowed people to walk a narrative that I think is purely fairy tales. I don't think Rodri is an exceptional player. There are players who are made for a system. I don't think Rodri is an exceptional player. Honestly, I've seen Rodri play outside the confines of City. I've seen him play for the Spanish national team. Even in the Spanish national team, he does not get to play in that midfield.
Because the coach has
decided
to
hold
on, in centre back.
Why is he not good enough to play in the midfield for the Spanish national team? I am saying that let's not try to change the narrative. Rodri is not an exceptional world-class player. He is not a world-class player. The fact that he plays for City and plays for Pep Guardiola and plays for a system and is thriving in that system does not make him any elegant.
So I was saying,
come on.
If he decides to pick Casemiro, like I said, the narrative is a bit different around Manchester United, so it is easy for you to shine at United. But I think that amongst the names that I've mentioned, in Alexander Isak, in Kieran Trippier, in Ramsdale, in Mitoma, I think that my signing of the season, and in Erling Haaland as well. Erling Haaland maybe comes in with a big reputation, so not so much. What he's doing, it doesn't surprise me. But I think that my signing of the season will be Mitoma. That guy for Brighton has been something else. You need to listen to the guy speak, and when he speaks, you clearly see he has a master's or his degree in the art of dribbling. His thesis was in the art of dribbling and all of that. So this is a guy who is playing football, not just the fact that he loves it. He's very theoretical. He studied football from the classroom, but he's a very, very good signing for. And Ramsdale as well. So there have been a couple of good signings for this season. But guys, who would you pick as your signing of the season? So I just want us to look at this quick comparison. So Rashford and Ronaldo, 30 appearances for Ronaldo, 35 appearances for Rashford this season. Ronaldo 18 goals. Last season, Rashford 17 goals. Ronaldo 3 assists. Rashford 5 assists. This is the player comparison for 20. Okay, let me do it.
Why are we doing this? Relevance.
So I'm coming. So in terms of the player of the season, I'm putting it out there so that in our discussion for the player of the season, we will look at it very well. So for last season, Ronaldo 30 appearances, 18 goals, 3 assists. Marcus Rashford 35 appearances, 17 goals, 5 assists. So guys, keep this in mind in our discussion for the player of the season.
I don't see the relevance of that data.
Coach of the season, Kofi. I'll put up another data for Erling Haaland as well. So
I do not see the relevance of that data.
Season. So for the coach of the season,
shoot it down.
Give us your 5 and pick one.
My coach of the season, I don't need to give 5.
Okay, just give us your one.
My coach of the season is Eddie Howe.
Why?
He's the best coach in the league.
Roberto De Zerbi?
Well, my coach of the season is Eddie Howe. Best coach in the league.
I think that it's unanimous here. I do not see anybody, the things Eddie Howe has done. Listen, if you look at Liverpool, if you watch the Liverpool setup, Newcastle setup, you actually appreciate the body of work Eddie Howe has put into building this Liverpool team. Last season, he picked this team when they were almost on the verge of being relegated. Just in one season, he takes this team to the Champions League, and this season have been one of the best. This team has been one of the best team in the league, and there is no way you could look past Eddie Howe for coach of the season. Yes, you may want to mention the likes of Arteta, the likes of Pep Guardiola. Pep Guardiola definitely win. There's nothing new that he has not done. Pep Guardiola's name will not be mentioned there. I'm looking at just two managers for my coach of the season: Roberto De Zerbi for Brighton and Eddie Howe for Newcastle. These two managers have remodeled and shaped a team. I did not expect Roberto De Zerbi to do what he's done with this Brighton team post the departure of Graham Potter, and nobody, in the blink of an eye, nobody even remembers that there was at some point Graham Potter actually coached Brighton. He's made this team his own.
Will he thrive at the biggest of clubs?
I have a whole theory on that. Why certain managers who do so well at these smaller clubs, when they come to the big clubs, they fail. We could look at that in our postseason. We'll have a brilliant show for you guys. Don't worry, the season might be.
Will he be a wonderful coach for Manchester United?
I think that if the conditions are right, he'll be a.
The conditions are always right.
He'll be a brilliant manager for Manchester United. That's another topic.
I think there's
discussion. But player of the season, Kofi.
Player of the season.
The reason why he didn't let me finish is I was about to give you the numbers for Erling Haaland.
I don't get
the list that is out there. The number for, Odegaard is also in the list for player of the season. His numbers. But you literally shut me down. But you give us your player of the season, guys.
I don't want you to drop over there. No, I don't want you to drop over there. I do not want you to drop over there. And no.
Okay, player of the season.
Does he have to be about numbers?
No, obviously not.
Because honestly, if he had to be about numbers, some people should not be in the conversation.
Like?
If he had to be about numbers, not everybody on that list deserves to be there.
Which list? We are Sports 101. We are giving out our awards.
No, I am saying that I do not see why you had to bring in the Ronaldo comparison vis-a-vis the Rashford comparison.
The reason why I brought in that comparison is basically because people think that Rashford has had an explosive, extraordinary season. All the narrative that I've been, I'm coming. Let me finish my this thing. In all the narrative that we've heard, and the reason why people think that some people actually go ahead to actually say Rashford deserves the player of the season. They actually say that this is his best season ever. So if for a striker who leads a team like Manchester United, I always want to refer you, by your words you shall be judged. If you find yourself in certain clubs, the parameters are so ripe that if you put up certain numbers, they are not so surprising. So you went on the narrative that it will be so easy for a striker to walk into Manchester City and put up the kind of numbers that Erling Haaland has put up, because there are a lot of elements around Manchester City that will make you score goals. But if you look at Manchester United, likewise, you do not have Eriksen behind you. For me, one of the best creative midfielders in the world. The guy can pick a pass with his eyes closed. Bruno Fernandes behind you. You have two. At some point, we're even saying that Bruno Fernandes is better than who? Kevin De Bruyne. So if you put up these numbers and people lift you up in that higher esteem, I think that it is equally or fairly right for us to say, okay, even in your best season, your numbers are akin to Ronaldo's season. And even if you do comparative analysis, Ronaldo's numbers are better than yours in Ronaldo's worst season.
Well, first of all, I think your theory is hugely flawed. And I will tell you.
I knew he was going there.
No, I'll tell you why your theory is.
I knew he was going.
I'll tell you why your theory is hugely flawed. And first of all, Ronaldo, for all the times he played at Manchester United.
We were talking about 2000 last season.
Yes.
And this season.
That's exactly the context of the conversation we are having. Ronaldo, for all the time he played at Manchester United, always played through the middle.
Okay.
I stand to be corrected.
Not
he always
not
played.
always.
He
Not always.
never
If you use the word always,
always played
no,
through
I think that there are
the
games,
middle.
that I've seen Ronaldo
Always
being played
played
out wide.
through Ronaldo out wide.
Yeah, last season.
In this dispensation.
Yeah.
Come on, nobody
Yeah.
would make that suicidal decision.
Anyway, finish.
In any case,
Make your point.
In any case,
Yeah.
who is that one player who has been part of this Manchester United organization for 5, 6, 7 years? Save the gear. Who?
Rashford. How many years? Do you know how the number of years
Maybe you
Rashford
didn't
has
get
been,
a question.
has been at?
You didn't get a question. I'll
Yeah.
try to say the question again.
I know where you are
No,
coming from.
no, hold on.
I know where the angle you are probably.
If you know where I'm coming from, then let's say the closing grace and just go away from the
This is
show.
not a church program.
No, because you cannot make a sound intellectual discourse if you want to compare the setup of City to the setup of Manchester
That's not-
United.
I am actually not
No,
comparing.
because in your words, anybody can walk into the City team and score 30 plus goals. Those were your very words.
Can I be given the opportunity to clarify?
That's fine.
So what I was saying is that based on your narrative, by saying that when the parameters are right at a certain club, and I use the parameter of Manchester City in the context of if you have certain players playing in your team or behind you, the propensity for you to rack up certain numbers is high. And I've given you two of the best creative midfielders in the league. Unless you want to, Kofi, unless you want to sit in these studios and speak to our listeners and say that Bruno Fernandes and Eriksen are not two of the best creative midfielders in this league.
When did Eriksen get into that conversation? With what figures?
Eriksen has
with which figures?
always been a creative element.
No, hold on,
at
hold on,
Spurs,
hold on.
Even
hold
at
on,
Brentford.
Hold on. What are Eriksen's statistics?
Again, no, I'm coming.
Because
again,
you cannot speak in vacuum.
Again, I always tell you, I'll tell you, by your words you shall be judged. You sat in these studios and you spoke about the fact that numbers do not tell the entire story. Now, I'll give you a typical example. We are hailing Iniesta, Xavi. Iniesta is one of those creative players who will not rack up even 10 assists in a season. But do you know what Iniesta does? He plays to space. And that is one of the best attributes of Eriksen. Eriksen at the end of the season will not even give you 12 assists. But you see, what he does in a game centrally, like Iniesta, it goes beyond the guy who eventually gives the pass for you to score. So you sit here, and even when I was giving you Rashford's numbers, guys, and you all agree with me, Kofi was saying that, am I doing the stats? Because the stats don't tell the entire story. So why are you telling me that I should give you Eriksen's numbers?
Well,
when again, you are not a proponent of numbers.
Well, I am a proponent of numbers. No, hold on. I am a proponent of numbers, but I think that the numbers ought to be quoted right and in the right context. You understand? I do not get this whole theory about Bruno Fernandes, blah 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 blah. You do not build a team with just players being quality. No. You do not build a team. No, can I finish? Can I finish? From
the EPL's own record, Bruno Fernandes created the most chances.
I am saying you said too creative. I am saying
119 chances.
But then you don't believe
even more than Ellen Hall. Kevin De Bruyne,
yes, you don't
Ike
believe,
Gundogan, and all those creative players.
You do not believe. I'm pretty sure you do not believe he's better than Kevin De Bruyne per those statistics.
But you also believe in numbers.
I'm sure you do not believe
but
that he's better than Kevin De Bruyne. I'm sure you tell me that he will not walk into the City team.
So
I'm pretty sure.
I'm actually wondering. At one vein, you do not believe that the numbers tell the entire story. In another vein, you feel that it's so good that we speak about numbers. So my point here is, let's put your own words to test. The vein that you believe that, yes, numbers do matter. And I'm telling you that Bruno Fernandes is one of the most creative midfielders in the league. And the numbers back it. He has created the most chances in the league. So if you have a player who has created the most chances in the league behind you, the tendency that you are likely to score more I mean, this is not a hypothesis. This can be tested.
We'll not get into this situation.
That's a different narrative. That's a different narrative.
That's fine. If you cannot answer the question, that's fine.
That's
I
a
mean, I'll
different
move on
narrative.
to the question. We're still talking about Rashford and
Player of the season.
why people think he's the player of the season. Listen, I'm saying that you do not just need the qualities of Bruno Fernandes to build a solid team. When Pep Guardiola had to take over the City team, remember, this is the 7th season that Pep Guardiola is handling the City team.
True.
Obviously, the dynamics of the City team cannot be compared to somebody like Eric Ten Hag, who's not even had a full year handling the project. Yes, we all agree Bruno Fernandes is a quality player. We all agree Casemiro is a quality player. We all agree Eriksen is a quality player. But you need time. You need consistency. You need to create a system to be able to make sure that anyone who walks into that system thrives.
Are we talking about the same story?
And that's always been the argument I've said. Listen, I am saying that somebody like Marcus Rashford deserves to be the player of the season because individually I struggle to find that one player who has been able to rack a lot of points for their team by Marcus Rashford.
Yes.
No, it's not about. It's
Point
not about.
one.
No, hold on.
Ivan Toney.
No, hold on. I am saying.
So
that in the context
you're struggling
of the
to
league,
find. I've given you one, Ivan Toney.
What are the points one for his team?
No, 15 points.
How?
How do you win? By scoring goals that will earn you those points.
No, you see, I mean, we all
How
know.
did Marcus Rashford do
we
that?
all know what that means. You understand? We all know
Don't
what
bring
that
in
means.
the betting
No,
thing.
I'm not talking about betting. If I tell you, I struggle to find the one player who individually has contributed to the success. It's not about the goals.
Yeah.
It's not about the goals that they score. I mean, I think we are having
Point one, obviously.
I think we are having a different conversation altogether. When they measure the impact of individual players, they're able to measure the impact of players who have been able to rescue points for their teams when they were losing, who without their contribution to the team would probably leave the team at mid-table.
So based on
if you look at Marcus Rashford and his form post the World Cup, no player in Europe was able to rack that form.
I would disagree with you, and I'll give you a player that you may not like, but for me deserves a conversation. You spoke. You literally waxing and ranting and raving all about, waxing lyrical about the fact that he didn't play centrally, and for him to play out wide and rack up those numbers, we should factor that into consideration, right? Do you know how many times did you ever see Bukayo Saka play centrally?
Does he have more goals and assists than Rashford?
In assist, do you know the number of? He has 14. He has 4. Is it 14 assists? 14 goals, 12 assists.
Does he have more goals than Rashford?
So can we also talk about, in the vein of, does he have more? Does Rashford have more assists than him?
And let's listen,
because they both did not play as number 9s.
Let's get this right. When we are talking about player of the season, the goals go beyond just the goals scored in the league.
That's true.
That's an open conversation.
That's true.
Rashford has scored 30 plus goals. Give me the figures of Bukayo Saka.
Yes.
When we are talking about the goals, the player of the season, it's not just about the goals in the EPL. No.
Why would you consider goals in the Carabao Cup?
No.
Or Europa League?
No, let me tell you something.
We're not talking about...
When they talk about player of the season, it's about reputation.
Oh, Kofi.
Stop
giving your own definition for player of the season. This clearly, Kofi, you are giving your own definition for player of the season.
Scandalizing. I mean, listen. You and I have been in this job for too long a time.
Too long.
And I am telling you on record that when they are determining the player of the season, it's not just about your contributions in the EPL.
So when they are determining the team of the season, do they consider outside the EPL?
How many times have we not had teams of the season? Even Kepa was in the team of the season. Was in the list of the nominees for team of the season.
But guys,
how do you rationalize that?
Guys, I think that Kofi is trying to justify the unjustified.
No, but how do you rationalize somebody like Kepa being on the list for the team of the season?
And these are by vote. We don't fan voting.
So I am telling you that when it comes, I am telling you on authority that when it comes to player of the season, it's about reputation. That's the point. You know, it's down to voting. The players vote for each other.
Yes.
You understand? They do, when it comes to the PFA, it has nothing to do with fans.
Yes.
It's about the 30 players. It's about the players in all of the divisions.
And you think that...
You understand? It's about the players in all of the divisions. So the players vote for their compatriots. So they vote for their other players.
That's
you understand?
true.
So I am telling you that when it comes to the player of the season, it's about reputation. It's about how they see you in their eyes.
But you see,
it's not just about goals in the EPL.
It's not about reputation. You see, it goes, players identify quality. Listen, if let's say a player like Kevin De Bruyne is going to vote, he's not going to vote for Marcus Rashford because he thinks Marcus Rashford is a good player. No.
Can I draw a list of what players that Lionel Messi has voted for in the last few years?
Let me make my point. If you go on that tangent, I want to disagree with you. You know,
so if you tell me the players vote on quality,
I want to disagree with you a little bit. When it comes
to politicians,
when it comes to those things, so here you are saying that okay, these guys are politicians. So one, they will vote because of their liking towards a certain player, and they will likely vote against a player because of their dislike for that player. So why then are you sitting and telling us that it's about reputation?
Reputation can be negative or positive. Everybody knows that.
So, guys, but Kofi, the player of the season is not voted based on it. Is actually vote. You see, over the years, if you look at the players that have won the player of the season, in 8 out of 10, they get it right. There are very little qualms about it. No? But Kante, Hazard, Mahrez, Kevin De Bruyne, Erling Haaland, 90% of the time they get it right. So it is not necessarily about reputation, it's about what the players who play with these players have seen them do and the impact.
When Giggs won the player of the season, it was purely ceremonial.
Oh. This
is a fact.
I said 9 out of 10.
I am saying.
You see, I said either. I even used the word 8 out of the 10. 8 out of 10.
I am saying.
So I'm telling you that there will be.
So I am telling you that there's a lot of politicking in this.
Anyway,
all of these
so
voted
your
for.
player of the season is Marcus Rashford.
I didn't say that. You brought up that conversation.
So who is your player of the season?
A player of the season?
Yeah. Guys, don't you just love the show? We're having finally at the end of season, we are reviewing everything that took place at the end. We might not even be able to finish because there are lots of things to talk about. Probably we'll unpack that next week. But you see, guys, is he your own confirmation? Hey, Kofi.
No, but I don't know why you're so excited. I haven't said the thing.
Who's your player of the season?
My player of the season has to be Kevin De Bruyne.
Why Kevin De Bruyne? Are you compensating? Are you compensating?
Do I have to give you any answers?
Are you compensating?
My player of the season is Kevin De Bruyne.
Why Kevin De Bruyne?
If you watch Kevin De Bruyne, he's the reason why City won the league. Go back. I'll send you an article. Kevin De Bruyne is that one constant in the City juggernaut who in the last 12-15 games of the season is able to operate at a certain level. He almost seemingly finds his best form in the last 12 to 15 matches. And this season, if you look at the goals that he scored, some of the big goals that City scored in the run into those goals, Arsenal, some of the goals that they scored, it was down to Kevin De Bruyne and his brilliance.
But you also agree
that my player of the season is Kevin De Bruyne.
But you also agree that some people raise a little bit of, an aside to what you're saying by saying that, listen, Kevin De Bruyne earlier on in the course of the season was not even a starter for Pep Guardiola. He dropped, and Pep Guardiola actually came back. He actually said that he had lost form.
A lot of politics in this particular award.
Gained his form back close about 10-15 games to the end of the season. So you do not give a player of the season who literally played the best of his games for 15 games.
He is the reason City won the league. You can have every conversation that you want to have, but Kevin De Bruyne is the reason City won the season.
Martin Odegaard.
That's fine.
I think that
I will not
the guy's
contribution with Odegaard.
The guy's contribution to Arsenal's surge to second place, which though for me is a bit of mediocrity.
But he said, so Arsenal are deputy league champions.
And United are what? 10 deputy league champions.
They are cupboard monitors.
Anyway, my guys, based on our awards, we've talked about the player of the season, coach of the season. Kofi would help us, go through some of the messages that have come so far. Who would you go for as your coach of the season, player of the season? What else did you look at? Signing of the season. Kofi, some comments from the comment section.
Well, some of the comments from the comment section. Let me. Somebody says that stop mentioning Nunes' name in the flop of the season. You guys should get serious. I don't know who that is, but whoever that is, you ought to get serious. Whoever that is, you ought to get serious, because if you do not consider Nunes to be a flop, then your judgment is seriously impaired. So whoever that is, so that is the comment from PHA. Mohamed Ibrahim says flop of the season is Anthony, Van Dijk, Martial, Nunes, and Mudryk. PK Justice says you guys forgot about Anthony, right? We didn't forget about Anthony. He comes out to mention Calvin Phillips. That has to be the name, Calvin Phillips. Then Clicked Pics Media says nice show. Prince Gakpe says Richarlison by far the flop of the season. I think that we've done justice to that. Prince comes back, bargain of the season is Caicedo by far. Caicedo, I think that we need to look at the Brighton list of production very soon. Emmanuel Awuni says lucky running in circles. Who is the competition for Rodri in that City team? PK, no, we understand you. We understood you perfectly. Richarlison, PK Justice says Richarlison can't. You guys should need to look at Kepa again, okay? Haaland, player of the season. PK Justice says add God Papa. Okay, I forgot. Who is God Papa?
I don't know. Maybe
then somebody also draws up a list and says the lorry is okay. I think he's trying to make his flop of the season, first 11. He puts in Hugo Lloris, there's Aspilicueta, there's Cucurella, there's Van Dijk, there's Wesley Fofana, there's Fabio Vieira from Arsenal, there's Alcantara, there's McTominay, there's Modric, there is Richarlison, and that's the one thing I can guarantee for this team. This team can go 30 games without scoring a goal. This team that I have mentioned, that lucky, I am sure can go 30 games without scoring a goal, and then we'll concede 60.
But I think it would be interesting, guys, that we could actually, we've done something that a lot of people have not done. For us to have our first 11 flop of the season, that's a novelty. Maybe the EPL can pick that up.
Well, the Spanish La Liga has something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
They have an award for the worst player at the end of the season.
Yeah.
I think that's when Modric came into the league. He won the award. He won that particular award.
Kofi, let's look at something here. I just chanced on this. In the last 2 seasons, so actually in the last 4 seasons, now this is what we've seen. The last 4 winners of the player of the season: 2019-2020, Kevin De Bruyne; 2020-2021, Ruben Dias; 2021-2022, Kevin De Bruyne; 2022-2023, Erling Haaland. Now, again, in the last 3 seasons,
that's the EPL player of the season.
EPL player of the season. Again, in the last 3 seasons, the winner of the young player of the season, 2020-2021, Phil Foden; 2021-2022, Phil Foden; 2022-2023, Erling Haaland. Let's speak to this issue. What does this tell you for the Manchester City team setup?
Because it's not about the Manchester City team.
In the last 4 seasons, they've swept the player of the seasons from 2019. When it comes to the young player of the season too, likewise.
Well, let's put it into conversation. The player of the season is not the same as the PFA player of the season, and the PFA player of the season supersedes the league player of the season. So let's have that conversation. Let's have that context put right.
Again,
this is the EPL's player of the season.
Yeah.
But the PFA player of the season is like the ultimate.
So I'm speaking to the
you
EPL
understand?
player
Obviously, they would win the EPL player of the season.
Why?
Because they won the league. Obviously, there's no better logical reasoning to dispute they winning those awards. They've been the best team in the last 3-4 years. You understand? And so, if the best team in the last 3-4 years deserves a shout as to who some of the best players in their units are, I don't think it's strange that we've had City winning the league 3 times on the trot and then winning those awards that they have won. I don't think that it's strange. You understand? So I do not see anything too special about they winning the English Premiership Player of the season. I don't think it's too strange. I think that they have done what they ought to do, and the league obviously favors the winners. You understand? These awards are tilted towards the winners.
Before we check out of the show,
Because I'm pretty sure that if you pulled a list of not just the last 4 seasons, but probably the last 20 years, it would give us a proper picture of what we are talking about. It would give us a better database for conversation. I am saying that the guys who win the league, when it comes to the league's awards, and this is purely the awards for the league.
So you do not think that there's something, because for the
I
last,
don't think it's anything too
can't
special.
we have the situation where, yes, City may have won the league, but there's that one player from maybe Arsenal, from
It'll
Liverpool,
be difficult.
that
It'll be
actually
difficult.
stands out to the point that though City won the league, this guy deserves the player
It'll
of
be
the season.
difficult. It'll be absolutely difficult to draw that scenario
So
in
you
the
think
current
that the same
dispensation.
narrative goes for the young player of the
Well, I
season?
think that in the current dispensation, it's about winner takes all. That's what happens these days.
Anyway, guys, so before we check out of the studio, we'll do something like we did with the flop of the season. This is going to be our Sport 101 team of the season. So myself and Kofi will put together our first 11. We agree on 11 players that we feel this is the team of the season, and we'll put it out there for everyone. We'll put it out there for everyone to see. So guys, because before we check out, let's do this.
Yeah.
Our first
My
11.
my team of the season. David De Gea will be in post. Then I'll have Kieran Trippier playing as the right fullback. I'll play Lisandro Martinez and then Ruben Diaz in centre back positions.
Okay.
And then I'll play the left fullback of Brighton as to whatever his name is. So that'll be my back four.
Okay.
Then I'll play Casemiro together with Odegaard.
Okay.
And then Kevin De Bruyne in midfield.
Okay.
Then I would play Rashford on the left.
All right.
I would play Bukayo Saka on the right.
Okay.
And I'll play Haaland through the middle.
Okay. So let's do our team of the season. So can we all agree that Ramsdale should be number 1?
No, I don't think he needs to be ahead of David De Gea.
Well, for saves, in terms of saves and clean sheet, David De Gea, I think shades it. So you think David De Gea should be?
I think David De Gea should be there.
Number 2, Trippier. I think that Trippier deserves to be there. As left back, I think that Dan Burn.
Yeah, I had to go between Dan and S2, whatever his name is.
But I'll pick Dan Burn.
Well, I think that I'll pick S2 because of the fact that he just not is a good defender. He's not just a good defender, but he adds a lot of.
Okay, I think we will agree on S2. Centre back.
I am picking Lisandro Martinez and then Ruben Diaz.
I think I'll go for Lisandro Martinez and Ruben Diaz as well. Just that they are too rugged, very hard. Maybe if you want to...
Martinez is very comfortable on the ball.
No, I'm talking about the way they approach the art of defending. Maybe if you want to throw in somebody who give you that flair, maybe Akanji, who would have that, that kind of flair kind of thing. But I think that Martinez and Ruben Diaz will also do for me. Our center, first of all, we need to establish what formation is Sports 101.
Well, I'm doing a 4-3-3.
I'm talking about Sports 101. So
I think we ought to do a 4-3-3. Yeah.
Why not a 4-2-3-1?
No, 4-3-3.
4-3-3. Okay. So it means you need 3 midfielders.
Yeah.
So our 3 midfielders, can we agree that we'll go for Casemiro, we'll go for Kevin De Bruyne, we'll go for Rodri?
Well, I'm going with Casemiro, Kevin De Bruyne, and Odegaard.
I want us to add Odegaard to the attackers.
No, I honestly do not see the essence of Rodri being in this team.
Because
I
the reason
don't
why I
see-
want us to add Odegaard to the attackers because Odegaard, Kevin De Bruyne literally can play as number 8 and number 10, and as good as Odegaard is, he usually thrives playing centrally. But Kevin De Bruyne, we know, can play out wide on the left or on the right. That's what I'm saying. Playing both of them there, you might have a structural problem. So let's shift Odegaard to, that number 10 role, or that what we say double number 10 roles. That's why I think a 4-2-3-1 would have fitted this team very well. Okay, so let's make do with a quick one. Let's make do with the 4-3-3. Let's make do with the 4-3-3. So it's Odegaard, Kevin De Bruyne, Casemiro.
Yeah.
I think that's a solid midfield. Attackers.
Saka on the right,
Saka on the right,
Rashford on the left,
Rashford on the left,
Haaland through the middle.
So guys, this is our Sports 101 first 11. There is David here, there is Kieran Trippier. The centre back pairing will be Martinez and Ruben Diaz, and Estupiñán on the left. And for the central midfielders, there's Casemiro, Kevin De Bruyne, Odegaard. And for the attackers, there is Saka, there's Rashford, and obviously there is Erling Haaland. We appreciate the support so much. We appreciate the love so much. We had a great show this evening. Those that sent us super stickers, we say thank you very much. And those that joined us in the comment section to engage us in the discussion.
And those that joined us on radio,
live on radio as well.
99.1.
Guys,
We keep saying
you.
this. Watch that space.
So if somebody may think, oh, the season is over, and so, well, trust me, there's a lot to unpack because we have a special program for you for about 2 months.
2 months before the season.
Yes, a very
again.
special program every Sunday, 7 to 9. Stay tuned for next week. Our first episode will be next week. We don't want to give too much away, but next week you don't want to miss the show. We'll be unpacking something that has never been done on online TV before. Guys, we love you and we hope to see you next week. Thanks for watching.